طيب, with regards to vows, a vow in general is an act of ibadah. If you do it, you don't have to do it, but if you fulfill it, Allah praises you and will love the servant and reward you for that. But the general concept of you making additional acts of worship upon yourself isn't something which should be, All right, that's number one. Second of all, is the restricted vow in which the person asks something from Allah instead of just doing the ibadah. That's inferior to the first type of vow. So the first type of vow, you promise to do extra worship for Allah's sake, period, without asking for nothing in return. And the second type is when you ask Allah for something and obviously you must fulfill that vow in both instances. And if you don't, then obviously there's a penalty and a punishment and the expiation that has to be done for not fulfilling your vows. Wallahu ta'ala alam. And as we said yesterday, vows are for Allah, not for saints, not for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not for scholars, not for forefathers, not for ancestors, only for Allah azza wa jal. A Muslim isn't a Catholic. We do not worship saints. We do not give service to saints. We give service and worship to Allah alone. Wahdahu la sharika lah. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Wa alayhi salam. Fadal. One second, Nafis. Fadal.
I just had a question. Is it like obligatory to recite Surah Al-Fatiha behind Imam and all salat?
Is it obligatory to recite Surah Al-Fatiha behind the Imam in all salats? The safest thing to do is to recite the Fatiha in every salah behind the Imam, whether the prayer is out loud or whether the prayer is silent. That's the safest thing to do. Now, there are different views of the scholars of Islam. Should you recite behind the Imam? Or should you only recite behind the Imam in the Fatiha? Should you keep silent behind the Imam in the out loud prayers? Should you keep silent behind the Imam in all prayers? The correct opinion, and Allah surely knows best, is that in the silent prayers you must recite at least the Fatiha. Dhuhr, Asr, second two rak'ah of Isha, last rak'ah of Maghrib, you have to recite at least the Fatiha. But when the Imam is reciting out loud, Maghrib and Isha, Fajr, Jum'ah, Eid, keep silent. But that isn't necessarily the what? Safest. I said. Wallahu alam. Fadal.
Is it permissible in Islam to say, okay, I will do certain things if Allah give it to me? Like, okay, oh Allah, I will pray this, I will start praying if you give me this. Like,
Alaikum salam. Clear. A vow to do something obligatory. No. You have no choice but to pray to Allah. That's Allah's haqq upon you. Allah owes you nothing. The vow is only pertaining to supererogatory, nafila, sunnah ibadah, not the fard. The fard you must. Me with this, I'll start doing the right thing and so on and so forth. Be careful. If Allah gives you that thing, if you bless and you still don't do it, which was already obligatory, you're standing with him is even what? He's even more dangerous now. And Allah talks about the munafiqun in the Quran, how they promised to spend in his cause. If Allah enriched them, if Allah gave them wealth, they promised they would spend. And when Allah enriched them, they did what? Short arms or what? Deep pockets. They were stingy. They were miserly. And Allah punished them by placing hypocrisy in their hearts until the last day, the day in which they would meet him. So that's very dangerous. Wallahu alam.
So my question is, right, can a Hanafi, a person who follows Hanafi skill set, can he pray behind a person who is Shia?
Question is, can a Hanafi pray behind someone who's a Shiite? We need a little bit of detail here. All right, a little bit of detail. The first point of detail is someone being a Shiite, quote unquote, a Shi'i is supposed to be madhab aqadi, la madhab fiqhi. It's supposed to be pertaining to your belief system and not the actual fiqh. I.e., someone could be Shi'i, and for argument's sake, no, we're talking about fiqh, Maliki, Madhanan. The fiqh, how do you pray? How do you fast? Do you trim your beard? Do you shave your mustache? That has nothing to do with the what? Aqidah. You clear on that? So for argument's sake, a Shiite doesn't have to be a Shiite in his fiqh madhab. So for argument's sake, the Shiite could be Hanafi like the Sunni is Hanafi. You clear on that? You clear on that so far? That's the first point. Point number two, it's well known that people who are Shiites, they have different groups. They aren't of one denomination. They're different groups, they're different splinters. Some are extreme, some are far, some are neo, some are mild, etc. Point number three, and perhaps this will be the last point of detail, is that it's known that Shiite people have become well known for certain fiqh opinions and even some madhabs. But it doesn't mean that just because he's a Shi'i in his aqidah that he has to be following a madhab of Shia. So for argument's sake, the Muslim should only pray behind someone that he's pleased with. Even if that person is a Sunni, you should pray behind those whom you are pleased with, that which you see from their religion. So for argument's sake, I come into the masjid and the iqamah is made. We have the choice between someone wearing pants and someone wearing a shalwar qamis. They're both Hanafi. They're both Sunni. One has a shalwar qamis, one has pants on. For argument's sake, who should be made the imam? The shalwar qamis. Because his odor is covered more, it's covered better. And if a person says, I don't wish to pray behind a brother wearing pants, I'm not saying it's haram, but I choose to pray with the person who's covered more. The imam should be the best of the best. And everything that you can possibly get. The head being covered, etc., etc., etc. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Fadl.
Next question is, I was like, how many movements break the salah?
How many movements break the prayer? There's no specific number. But the things that break the prayer of movements fall under the following conditions. Listen carefully. Number one is for the action to be unnecessary. For the action to be what? Unnecessary. I.e., if there's a necessary movement in a prayer, it's not the same as a what? You guys with me or not? All right, what's a movement? A necessary movement in a prayer?
Fixing your watch, fixing your pants.
Let's say a necessary movement, yes. A necessary movement. No, 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 no. La. Listen carefully, stay with me. I'm in the airport. I'm making a salat, right? Somebody comes in and says the qibla is the wrong way. Move to your left. The qibla is wrong. I'm from New York City. I live here. You have a connecting flight. It's the wrong direction. What is my duty with regards to when someone is talking to me? I'm praying, he's talking to me. What's my duty? I have to turn. I have to do what? I have to move. Is it a movement or not? Is it necessary? Versus I'm scratching. Me scratching or playing with this isn't what? Necessary. Number two is that the movement be abundant. A quick scratch isn't the same as keep doing it. Number three is that the actions be continuous. I took a step up, someone moved out the rank, versus I took 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 steps. Versus step, stop, step, stop. Last but not least is that if someone sees you praying from a distance, they think that you aren't praying. That's proof that your action has nullified your prayer. So something that you're doing in which someone sees you, they think that you're making salat versus this person isn't making salat. So there's no specific number of how many movements or steps or scratches or your cell phone or playing with your clothes. Next question. From online. From online.
The next one is AG from Cairo, Egypt. Salaam alaikum, Shaykh.
Hamza.
How do we combine between the hadith which says Islam will wear away like a garment and another which mentions there will always be a group upon the truth?
Tayyib. Question says, how do we harmonize between the hadith that states Islam will wear away as a garment wears away, as a garment fades, and a hadith or the hadiths that state one group from my ummah will remain steadfast. It's very simple. Is that the sacred knowledge of Islam will become scarce. Ignorance will prevail. Knowledge will be very hard to find. But the knowledge will not absolutely disappear. The pure teachings of Islam will become scarce, will become rare. You'll be a stranger wearing a beard. You'll be a stranger trimming your mustache. You'll be a stranger doing this and doing that. But no matter how strange you are, you'll always find at least one person that's doing what you're doing. So one group that doesn't have a specific race or madhab or country or field of expertise will always remain qa'imatan bi amrillah. But the majority of the people, as time goes on and moves forward, it will only fade and fade what? More and more and more. And of course, towards the end of time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would take the soul of the believers, and no one will be alive when the last day comes. Illa ala shirar al-nas, the worst of men. The last hour will not come upon the pious believers. They will die. And the Yawm al-Qiyamah will only come upon the evil wicked doers. So there are levels and steps and stages between the end of time, ignorance, knowledge, so on and so forth. The last thing I'll say regarding this question is be careful of abusing these hadiths, as many people do. My group is the saved group. My interpretation, my masjid, my dawah organization, my gang, we are the firqa najiyah, and everyone else is astray and misled. Okay? Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Wa sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la
Jazakallah
ilaha
khair.
illallah.
Ahmed.
Ashhadu an la
Jazakallah khair.
Anything else?
Cups.
أشهد أن محمد رسول الله.
He was on my top. I didn't appreciate that.
أشهد أن
Yeah.